Most drafters automate by instinct. They fix the things that annoys them the most, which also means that they are not fixing the things that is actually costing them more. A couple of months ago, I was doing exactly that. This video is about how I fixed that by doing the drafting audit and how you can do the same. Hi, I'm Vignesh. I'm on a mission to help overworked CAD drafters to drafting heroes. Stay till end of this video because I've got the tool to do all the calculations for you. I was actually proud of myself. I had just built the transmittal automation where you put the PDF and it extracts all the revision numbers and create the transmittal for you. What used to take say 15-20 minutes was done in under 60 seconds. After that, I had built the project setup automation where you put the architecturals in, it would strip down the architecturals, classify the walls, clean everything up, set up the project template, and put them as XREFs. Fantastic. What used to take maybe an hour or two now takes about 20 minutes. 2 wins. I felt good. But I had no idea what to target next. I was building random things. I had solved two main problems by instinct. Everything else, I was just guessing. And this is how I fixed it. Most firms track one thing, that is total project hours. For example, let us take Jacob. Jacob used to take 10 hours to complete a double-story house, but now he takes 8 hours. Now, that is progress, but total hours is the wrong number. The question is, where is Jacob spending those 8 hours? Is it on architectural setup? Is it on fixing some exports from the architect or some other engineer? Redrawing the same sections because there's no standard? You don't know. And if you don't know, you can't fix it. You'll keep building automations just by the gut feeling and hope you picked the right one. So this drafting audit would tell you where you spend your time on and what to automate. Now you might be thinking, okay, Jacob gets faster. Great, Jacob's more productive. That's the most obvious win, but not the real one. If Jacob is the only one who can run his workflow, all you have done is make Jacob faster. The knowledge still lives in Jacob's head, and once he leaves, it goes. The bigger question is, how do you take what Jacob really does well and make Peter do it just as well? That's the difference between automating your workflow and multiplying your firm's capacity. Most small to mid-sized firms do not have a CAD manager. So they don't have somebody say, hey, here's the standard. Hey, this is what you do. So every drafter has their own way, and the firm's output depends on who did that job that week. When you document Jacob's workflow and automate the repeatable parts, you have taken what Jacob does in his head and put it in a system. Now, Peter runs the same automation, Peter gets the same output, you just have multiplied Jacob. And if you're Jacob, and if you're the one who builds this, you're not just a drafter or engineer anymore. You are the person this whole system depends on. Now that's a different conversation with your employer. And if you're a firm owner, that's a whole different level of talent to have in your team. And that's what this exercise is actually about. Now you're probably thinking, okay, but how do I actually start? What does the audit give me that I actually don't have? The answer is 4 things. 1. The cost of inaction. Not a vague feeling, but a number. What is it costing you in dollars to do nothing right now? 2. The exact tasks to target, not guessing which automation to actually target. 3. The break-even point. How many projects until the automation starts paying for itself? 4. The 3-lens perspective to help you make a decision. Build it yourself, hire someone, or measure it as revenue that you can't currently reach. Here's how to get started. First, go to my Google Drive, which you can see here. And the next thing that you do is you go here and click download. When I say download the folder, you need to download the folder because it is an HTML file, which is the tool. So once you enter these information in, it saves into your computer. Okay. Now, after you download the folder, you go into this one, the prompt to get started. Open it, and then you copy the whole thing. Now replace your job title with structural engineer or drafter. Pick your first project type. It could be a double-story residential dwelling or single story or whatever that is. For today's example, I'm picking up a double-story residential dwelling. And then once you fill that out, Control A, Control C, or you don't need the prompt to get started, but you just copy this and go to your favorite AI tool. It could be ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude. The free versions work, so you can use it in there. And then you paste it. After you have put in the prompt, what I want you to do is talk to it. Walk through everything step by step. This is what I do. I get the architecturals in. I create the project folder under today's date. Then I copy the template. So tell it like a story. Okay, this is what I do. Step 1, 2, 3. Just go with the flow, whatever comes to your mind. Because this is just your starting point, and it is in the next phase where you're going to validate it with the real project. Then you get the real data for this analysis. This would take about 30 minutes or even less. Once you get that information, then you go to your desktop or wherever you put that folder in, and then you open the drafting tool, which is this. This is like an HTML page which is saved in your computer. After you have done with your first step, everything is there. Then you go into the next phase and then you come back and fix it. To start with the drafting audit, first thing is you put your company name. You can put it as BCD company, your local currency. There are quite a few: Australia, Singapore, USD. Put your local currency in 1.55, 1.41. The reason is most of these AI tools, which are out there, you pay them in US dollars. So I thought it would be easier to keep it that way. I've only shown the Google AI Pro and Claude Pro. So if you don't have Claude Pro, you can remove it. If you have Google AI Pro, you can remove that as well. I'm in Australia. It is 1.55. Okay. Next, you go to project types. I got all of these from ChatGPT by pasting in the prompt before, and then I was just talking to it. I used the free version purposefully because I want to see the quality. It is still great. So you can use the free version on ChatGPT, on Gemini, on Claude. Everything works really well. Because the key thing here is not this step. This is just like the first step to get started, but it's the validation phase which changes everything. Okay. Next thing is you copy and paste all the tasks and activities in. Okay. After that, you go in and put some sort of a time that you think it takes to do that activity. So saving the architecture drawings into projects, copying the architecture files into structural. Even if it's a minute, sometimes activities do come up that way. But if you want to put it in a minute, you can put in a minute as well. So you go all the way down, then you will have the total minutes for a project. And next, what you do is you go here and take a print, and you test it on a real project. So ideally, you need to have a double-story house or whatever project that you intend to audit, so you can validate the time that you actually take to do these activities. It's not just the time required to do these activities, it's also those activities you might have missed. You might have not thought about it. So what you do is after you take a printout, you go back, and then when you're doing the real job, sometimes you realize, oh, okay, this activity doesn't actually take 10 minutes, it takes about 20 minutes. This activity, it's not like 5 minutes, it's only like 30 seconds. So that way you can iterate on it, and then you can find new activities to you realize, oh my god, I missed something. So you can come back and add those activities as well. At the same time, you can also put it into three different brackets, which is always the same, usually the same, depends on the project. Once you know your automatable tasks and how much time they actually take, now here is the three lens perspective, which will actually help you make a decision. Lens one, you build it yourself, DIY it. Now, as the name suggests, you spend time building the automation yourself. If your automatable tasks take 120 minutes to do manually, and after the automation, it only takes 20 minutes. That means you have saved 100 minutes per project. Now, for example, if you take 7 hours to actually build the automation, which is 420 minutes, you would break even at about 5 projects. After that, it's pure time back. Now, if 7 hours sounds like a lot, here's another way to look at it. Lens 2, you hire someone. For example, you pay someone $2,000 to build an automation. How many months of savings does it take to recover that cost? You just need to take your annual total cost of inaction divided by 12, then you get your savings per month. Now take that and divide it by the cost to hire someone. When you do that, that's your break even in months. Lens 3, the revenue ceiling. This one changes how you think about all of it. Those freed hours, once you fill them up with billable work, what is the actual upside? If an automation frees up 3 hours a week, that is 156 hours every single year, you take your average project value and the average time to finish those projects. For example, if it's $3,000 and 15 hours to complete that project, that 156 hours turns out to be 10 projects. When I ran my own numbers through this, the Lens 3 gave me a perspective on how automations can truly change the growth of a firm. And that was from like a 7 hour build. Every project after break even is recovered time. The numbers are one thing, but seeing them built from your own data, that's what makes it click. Let me show you exactly what this looks like. Coming back to our tool, from the previous step, you have listed down all your activities, then you go back, test, validate it in your real project, then you come back, you add a new task, uh, update the time, update the category, and then you go on, and if it's not here, you move wherever it is, and then you close. I mean, I don't need it, I'm going to close it. So you have that, and now what I have is basically all the activities that I do, including the minutes. And if at any point from the validation phase you realize something takes more than 20, if something is 20 minutes here and it takes more than 45, you put that in. So this is really good exercise to make you understand your own data. After you have done that, you again recheck the repeatability, always the same, meaning it doesn't change as much. It's like the same step 1, 2, 3, 4, and then usually the same, meaning most of the time it's the same, and depends on the project is where your judgment comes in. You're gonna say, hey, if, for example, here I've got a determined slab system, which is slab on ground or strip footing. So depends on the project. It depends on the project because I have to talk to the client. I have to look at the site conditions. I have to understand, okay, what sort of fill we need. Do we have to fill a lot or is it just on ground? That sort of comes from my experience. So I don't want to be automating that. But things like renaming architectural files into XREF or read or repair incomplete wall geometry, these sort of things. So these are always the same. Again, you are following step 1, 2, 3, 4. I have already done two automations in this channel. Okay, so one was the transmittal, and the other was the setting up of a project. This is how I link those two videos into this template. So just so you know, I'm not making this up, as in there are real automations like this. It can be done. The savings are right in front of you. So it's not like I'm bringing everything out of thin air. So you can see the target. I've kept this column, which is target. So those things which I've done, I've already done it as target automations. So in your case, it would be after you list everything down, you can start with the target automation, which is the automation that you want to do. Okay, it could be classification of a wall, it could be anything. I don't know what your list looks like, so you can go through your list and you can look at, okay, this is what I want to target. Select all those target automations or target activities. After that is done, you go to your dashboard. Now this is the most beautiful part. The first thing, the cost of inaction. It's in red because, as I said before, this number signifies, after doing all of this, if you change nothing today, nothing. If you don't move the pen from your table from here to there, nothing changes. This is what costing you every single year. If you go to the project types again, you can see the number of projects per year. You how many projects per year you do this. I've randomly put 10. We do more than that, obviously. And depending on the number of projects per year, what's your team size, the whole calculation changes. Going back to the dashboard, so that is the cost of inaction. I have only done like a double-story dwelling, that too with maybe strip footing for now. But then let's just say if it's going to be slab on ground, I would just duplicate it. So this is just one project type that we are doing. Next are the scenario inputs. Remember the three lens which I told you about? Now, in order to understand those three lenses, we are going to put in few values for those lenses. DIY build time. It took me about 7 to 8 hours to build those two automations. So I'm just going to put in 7 hours for now. And let's just say this is like an arbitrary number. So you can pick a number from the air and put it in. What do you think that you don't mind spending on that automation? For example, if it's like $40 to $100, you know what, I'm going to spend $2,000 to fix it if you're paying someone. Then the other thing is, this is for your lens 3. What is your average project value? It could be $3, $4, $5,000, whatever that is. You can put your average project value here. And once you remember those target tasks over here. Now, after automating all of this, what would be the target time? As in, it's not like you automate the whole thing and it goes to 0. No, it doesn't. It goes from say 100 minutes to say 20 minutes or something like that. So you have that save, you save 80% of that time. So you can just put a number which say 10 minutes or 20 minutes for now. In my example, what I've done is my two automations right now only takes about 20 minutes. That includes my project setup and my transmittal. So that's the reason why I combined both and I put in 20 minutes. And what is your average hours per project? You can go back and look at your average project value and what is your average hours per project. So these two are combined. Now let's look at it from the three lens. For me, so because I DIY build it, my break-even point would be 5 projects. So all of that, what I've done, I put in 7 hours of my time. And in order to get that back, my break-even point is 5 projects. So after 5 projects, it's just pure time savings. I mean, it's pure profit, nothing else. Now, for some people, 7 hours would be a lot of time. So what about them? And you'd be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to hire somebody. If you hire someone, in order to get your, say, $2,000, in order to get that money back, you will take 5.7 months. Now, if you go back to the video when I was explaining those three lenses, I said the biggest value unlock here is your capacity unlock. your revenue ceiling. Just by putting those 7 hours, I break even after 5 projects. Even if I pay someone, it's what, 5.7 months. What ends up happening is all those freed up hours that I get, I can add new projects. I could get new billable projects. I explained this earlier in the video, so you can go back and look at the explanation again. Now that means you can unlock basically $8,400 worth of project value just because you freed up those hours. Do this exercise. I'm telling you, you are going to be stunned by your results. I mean, you look at it like, oh, not just savings, but also the extra capacity that comes along with it. Now, this is the net ROI, the honest picture after tool costs. This basically means all your gross savings, as in your total cost of inaction in this case, is compared with the tool costs. Now, remember in the settings page, I just kept Google AI Pro and Cloud Pro. Imagine you have these two tools, and then you go back to your dashboard and you see, okay, I pay $744 every single year, and I am trying to save $4,200. Now, minus that, I am making $3,456. So it makes good sense just because I have all these tools and I pay what, under $750, and I make $3,400 back. Now that's good savings. So it's the percentage as well. Like, okay, it's only 18%. Now let's just say I make this a Claude Pro. Okay, the highest one which you could get is for $200 a month. So that's what, okay, 300 AUD. Going to the dashboard, you see it costs me 97% of those gross savings. So do I really need to automate? This gives you the idea, okay, barely breaking even. Tools consume 97% of savings, leaving almost no net gain. One tool cancellation could turn this positive fast. So you need to know how much you can invest in these tools. You just don't go ahead and take the best tool like, okay, Cloud Code Pro Max subscription, $200. No, you don't do that. You look at what you're trying to save, what you're willing to invest, what you get back. So that's what this gives you. Like I said, I've done 2 automations myself, and you can go into YouTube and watch those automations. If any of those click, for example, project setup, if it's similar to what I'm doing, you can use those files and then you can get instant savings. So it's there. Now we have like 4 different charts here. The first one is where is your time going. This is like a comparison between your automatable and your critical thinking tasks. So maybe I spend what, 252 minutes. That's sort of like the automatable task category. The cost of inaction by project type, I have only one for now, but you should go ahead and add double story, single story, or whatever your project types are, and put it in there. So you can actually see how much it is exactly costing you. Then the third one is the break-even curve. So at what point does it break even? Right? Like for my DIY build, after, like I said, like what, 5 projects? After 5 projects, it's pure profit. And this is like a basic comparison between gross savings, tool cost, and net savings. Because I have put like $200 for Claude. Okay, let me change that. I'll just put this as $20. I'm going to come here to the dashboard, and you can see, okay, total tool cost is only $744. And then we have the net savings. This is something that I tell everyone. Document before you automate. Know what you do before you decide what to build. Most people skip this and get straight into building, which is not wrong if you're starting out, but you'd soon be stuck just like me. Then they build the wrong thing and wonder why the automation is not saving them time. The drafting audit is what makes the automation after it targeted. This is the foundation everything else runs on. You can get the link to my Google Drive, which has both the prompt and the HTML tool, from the description below. It would sort of take about 30 minutes to get your first workflow documented. Use it on one real job and validate the numbers. Once you have your data, you know exactly what to build and whether it's worth automating or not. If you're stuck at any point and need help figuring it out, book a call with me. Link is in the description and we will figure it out together. And if you want to see more of this, hit that subscribe button because I've got more such content coming out about agentic CAD automations.